What's going on, everybody? It's Murph. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about our Doom campaign guide. We're going to be pulling it back to previous of the video that I put out last week because I missed some info going into it that I honestly forgot about for people that are playing early to mid game. Like we're currently playing through on our account right now. But just wanted to throw this at you guys. This is a new graphic that came out today. It's covering, all of the horsemen, all these characters have already been out on previous iterations of this graphic, and they've kind of announced four unknown characters so far that should be coming on the next patch. So I'm gonna be putting out a video this weekend kind of on who I think these guys might be. So put your tinfoil hats on, get ready to dive down the rabbit hole with me. But enough on that. So last week we talked on this content right here. So this is our Doom campaign, right? This was everything in Doom Chapter 1 and characters and teams that I recommended taking into them. And what I had forgotten about this is that you actually need to do Heroes Chapter 7, 1, Villains Chapter. Let me rewind that. You need to do Heroes Chapter 1, Heroes Chapter 7.1. Once you complete that, you can do Villains Chapter 7.1. Once you do that, you will unlock Nexus Chapter 8.1. Upon completion of that, then you will unlock your Doom campaign and you can proceed through that first chapter, using this information here or using your own personal priority, whatever you choose to do. But I felt it was intellectually dishonest to put this information out there and try to target new to mid game players with that information if I'm not giving you guys the information of how to get there in the first place. So we're going to dive into that today. So we'll scroll back up here. Now, like I said, first off, we got to knock out chapter 7 for heroes, right? So let's get up here. As you can see here, I kind of put this little flow chart up here. Hero 7-1 unlocks Villain 7-1, which unlocks Nexus Chapter 8, which unlocks your Doom campaign. Now, Heroes Chapter 7, the requirements for it are going to be city characters. That's very, very easy for us because if you've been following along with the channel and some of my early to mid game farming guides, you know that the majority of web warriors are now farmable, minus that pesky arena orb farm. And that's our focus for our first raid team to start building. So it also makes sense that obviously you'll already have them ready at level 70 to be ready enough to clear the Heroes Chapter 7, which I went through. The day that I recognized this late last week, I actually was going through the campaign using this team. Just like Dark Dimension 2, you can throw it on auto, you'll clear it, no problem. Just go with Web Warriors. Some other honorable mentions include Young Avengers, because the majority of that team, actually, I believe all that team is City. No, America Chavez is not City, but you can sub Miles Morales in on the team. Some other City characters that you could run could be anything from like your Defenders to your Heroes for Hire, but I don't really recommend farming them early on. If you have Heroes for Hire built for Do More, then great. Um, Defenders really aren't worth building right now. I think some of the Dark Hunters do qualify as heroes, and they also double down for your Famine Scourge as well. But Web Warriors again is your main Pestilence Scourge team. They'll carry you through this event. I would just highly recommend you go with them. The next area we're going to talk about is the chapter 7.4 to 7.6. So these are global nodes. As you can see, the heroes chapter 7 nodes, they go just like your Dark Dimension ones do for the most part. We're just going to go some sort of combination of city, global, and cosmic in whatever order. So one thing of note, let me back up real quick. So there are character nodes in most of these chapters, and in 7.3 you can actually farm out Thor, which is big because Heroes Guardians is kind of expected to be that main team for the upcoming War Scourge. So if you need to build him, beef him out a little bit still, you can farm him there once you unlock Heroes Chapter 7.3. Now 7.4 to 7.6, like I said, are global, and per our build and farm guide, we've been building and farming Wakandans for our Cosmic Crucible team, and we kind of plan on stopping them at gear 13 and level 70. Now, if you have them all unlocked, you will breeze through this with that team. If you've been playing fairly, I wouldn't say competitively, but if you've been playing frequently lately, you should probably have most of the Bionic Avengers unlocked with the exception of maybe Hulkbuster, since this Blitz event is so taxing right now and is so time consuming. But they're going to be another good option for you to build up for the global nodes, just because that's going to be your tech raid team going forward, and they're also the only announced team so far for your Death Scourge. So if Wakanda isn't there for you, Bionic Avengers might be. One team that I threw in here is just kind of a one-off is going to be Hulk, and that's just because he's going to be part of that War Horseman team once you unlock Red Hulk and everything else. So you're going to want to build him up eventually for your Horseman sagas and eventually your Apocalypse saga. So obviously he's a slam dunk. He just might not have a whole lot of synergy with the rest of your team unless maybe you have Wave 1 Avengers built, which outside of Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk, I really wouldn't recommend building Captain America, Black Widow, or Hawkeye for it. The next team down, kind of like one tier below it, is going to be the Secret Avengers, and that's because they mainly make up your secret raid or your skill raid team, and are also pretty much all prerequisites for the Omega Red unlock, which we have been pushing for on this account. Is really our only legendary that we're pushing for outside of the Horseman events. And your next team up is going to be mutants, and I just put mutants here as just kind of a catch-all, so it could really be any of your X-Men teams, whether it's unlimited X-Men that you're going to be building for Rogue and for your Horseman saga, or if it's the astonishing X-Men that you're building as your raid team for Doom, or maybe you have Uncanny built, which Uncanny, believe it or not, it might be the bastard little brother of all the X-Men teams in this game currently. They're still a great powerful team, especially if you get Phoenix unlocked. So I would definitely recommend building out any of these other teams before Uncanny at this point of the game, early to mid, but they're not a bad option either. So moving on, we'll move up to the global or the cosmic nodes rather for Heroes chapters 7-7 to 7-9. Now at Heroes 7-9, you will unlock the node to farm Colossus out for your Uncanny X-Men team. And some ideas that you can run into this are Heroes Guardians, which, like I said earlier, like Thor, they're speculated to be that main team for your upcoming War Scourge, and they're a fairly new release. So hopefully, you were current for the events and were able to unlock all the characters when they came out. And next up is going to be Infinity Watch. Now, Infinity Watch, I know as an early to mid game player, you really don't have access. Well, at this point, you definitely don't have access for Moondragon, right? And you probably do not have the prerequisites for Adam Warlock yet. So that leaves you with what Gamora, Nebula, and Moondragon, or not Moondragon, I'm sorry, Phyla-Vell, if you had been farming her out of the arena store. And I kind of recommend as a new player to target, Nebula, Gamora, and Phyla-Vell early on, just for the unlock at least. So you can run them as an early arena team. So if you chose to do that, this is a great team to run in this. However, you're probably gonna have to find two other plug and play characters, which I've got a few listed below in America Chavez. Like I said earlier, we can't run her with the city portion of the Young Avengers team early on, but you probably have her built up or should at least be building her up for that Famine Scourge event, as Young Avengers are the main team in that Scourge. So if you have her built up, good news, you can use her here. Additionally, you can use Silver Surfer if you have him and decide to build him. He's a good, not great kind of plug and play character right now. He doesn't really fit in on a whole lot of standard teams, but he's definitely a cosmic character that maybe you got lucky and unlocked, via orbs or whatever else early on. You can use him here. I'm really trying not to recommend like unfarmable characters. Like obviously you could run Eternals here. You could run Black Order. Well, you can't run Black Order here because it's heroes, but there are other cosmic characters that are better that I'm just not including here. I'll honorable mention them now, I guess. But seeing as Eternals, you really can't farm them. It's not really worth putting here. So Deathpool, I guess, is another character that's not really farmable, but with the increased drop rate out of the premium orbs, you likely have her unlocked by now. I know I've gotten a shit ton of Deathpool shards on this, my level 71 account. And if you decide to build her in New Warriors as part of a Mystic raid team, then you can definitely use her here. And that'll round out all of your requirements for the Heroes Chapter 7. Now, remember, you only have to clear the first node of Heroes Chapter 7, that 7.1 node, in order to move on to your Villains campaign. But I just figured I'd talk about the other requirements here, as, eventually you'll probably want to clear all this at some point, and it'll bear worth having an idea of what to build for it. So we'll roll through the same thing with the Villains chapters. With Villains Chapter 7, 7-1 to 7-3, you're going to need to run either AIM, Hydra, or Sinister 6. And personally, this is where I hit my roadblock on my level 71 character. And that's because, there's nothing in AIM worth building. period, as an early to mid game player, and I would honestly venture to say as a late game player, there's really nothing in AIM worth building. Hydra, you've got Baron Zemo, Winter Soldier, and Crossbones. Crossbones you obviously unlock immediately when you join the game. He's a freebie. He's not really worth investing in a whole lot. I think I have him at level 60 or 65, gear 11, 12, and that's literally where he's going to sit until this game, Sculpey decides to stop making this game. Um, Winter Soldier is a slam dunk pick here just because you're going to have to build him for Omega Red anyways, and he's part of our early farm guide too. So use him, even though he's not a great character. You should have him built out at least somewhat to be competitive in this chapter. Baron Zemo again is one of our early raid store targets and is a good all-around villain character. You should probably have him unlocked by now and have him built up enough to compete in this. And that kind of leaves us with just running other Hydra or Sinister Six characters. So maybe you want to run Red Skull with this. Maybe you want to run some Hydra minions with them as well and get that synergy. But again, I really wouldn't build them past maybe level 60 if you plan on attempting this with those characters. Other characters that have viability in other areas of the game for you, though, would be Sinister Six, because Sinister Six you can use to unlock Shuri, and you can also use him to unlock Invisible Woman. So, maybe you had some extra blitz or arena store currency early on and you decided to farm out like Electro, Rhino, or Swarm. You could run them with these characters as well and just kind of do like a Hydra Sinister Six combo team. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do on my account, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'll probably end up running like Baron Zemo, Winter Soldier, Electro, and Rhino and Crossbones and just see how it goes. Now, there's no characters you unlock here, but later on, you do start unlocking some good characters here in the actual Villains Chapter 7. So, 7.4 to 7.6 is a Mystic requirement. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this Villain Mystic tag is part of the tag that's required for Phoenix. So, Phoenix requires Villain Mystic controllers. So, there's an additional stipulation on those characters. But I've put Loki and Hela in bold here, and honestly, I forgot to put them in bold too. But Ronan and Mordo also should be in bold here, and that's just because you can build all four of those characters and have them relevant in a different piece of content. So that way, you're not investing in characters that are going to be useless in the future. But of course, we do have Morgan Le Fay, Agatha Harkness, and Doctor Strange Heartless. So if you do have them unlocked, obviously they're part of your Pestilence Scourge, your Pestilence Horseman team, rather, with Morgan Le Fay being the Pestilence Horseman. So it obviously you can gear them up. You're going to have them at gear 15, 17 for your Apocalypse Saga. And they're really the slam dunk decision for this chapter, but I can't put them down in good faith for early and mid game player because none of them are farmable right now outside of Morgan Le Fay during her events. And odds are, if you're around my level right now, that 70, maybe you've had one go around in the Morgan Le Fay event and you probably weren't ready for it, so you probably don't have her unlocked. So again, Loki, Hela, Ronan, and Mordo, all four of them can be used for the Phoenix unlock. So you can definitely use them if you don't have this Pestilence Horseman team unlocked. And Yondu's here as well because he's part of the Ravagers team. Ravagers are one of the side teams for the upcoming War Scourge. And honestly, Yondu's not a bad character. He's just a victim of the power creep. I remember when the game first came out, he was phenomenal to use with buff stealing, AoE, minion spam. If you have him unlocked and not a whole lot of other options, you can definitely put a little bit into him in order to clear this node. And of note, you unlock Hela's farming node out of these chapters or these nodes. So that's great. Hela, like I said, is required for the Phoenix unlock. You can also use her to unlock Black Bolt as well. And, seeing as the new additions to the Heroes Guardians, Mighty Thor and Valkyrie, are not farmable yet, so you probably don't have them at 5 stars unless you were, very, very competitive players in those events. Well, I guess we got Mighty Thor 5 stars for free, didn't we? I'll take that one back. But Valkyrie was a hero campaign. You might have her at 5 stars, you might not. Whatever. You can farm out Hela for your Black Bolt unlock here once done. And moving on, the villains chapter 7.7 to 7.9, there are no requirements for it. You can run any villains you want, period. So if you've already gotten through the first 6 nodes, just take whatever characters you built up for those, throw them in this one, and you can unlock Iceman's node. And Iceman can be used for the Astonishing X-Men team, for your raid team, for mutants. Moving down, we'll talk about the Nexus chapter 8. So now that we've cleared Heroes chapter 7.1 and Villains chapter 7.1, we can now move on to the Nexus Chapter 8. Now, 8.1, 8.3, just like Villain 7.7 to 7.9, there's no requirements, and it's Nexus, obviously, so there's literally no requirements between, heroes, villains. So any characters you've already built up, you can use here, and there's no node, so don't worry about it. Now, Nexus chapters 8.2 to 8.3, your tags are going to be Kree, Guardians, and Asgardians. So I've put all these characters in bold here, and this just because these are characters that can cover other chapters here. So like Gamora, for instance, is Infinity Watch. And like I said earlier, we can run Infinity Watch for your Heroes Chapter 7. So, that's killing two birds with one stone, not forcing you to invest in other characters. If you have Heroes Guardians built, you can run them for Nexus Chapter 8.2 or 8.4 to 8.6. I definitely mistyped that, didn't I? And just like I mentioned earlier, you can also run Heroes Guardians for your Heroes Chapter 7.7 to 7.9. And you can also run Loki and Hela, which, like I said, you can run them for Villains Chapter 7 and use them for your Phoenix unlock and for your Black Bolt unlock. So really, Loki and Hela are like two really good investments for you to get through these early chapters. Well, I guess your later chapters of all these different campaigns in order to unlock your Doom campaign and unlock these other farming nodes. So once you get through Nexus Chapter 8.6, you'll unlock Karnak's farming node. Karnak being Inhuman, you can use him for your Ebony Maw unlock eventually, but the Inhumans and Karnak are really not good characters, so aside from the Ebony Maw unlock, I really wouldn't worry about farming that character out anytime soon. And Nexus Chapter 8.7 to 8.9, your tags are going to be Shield, Brotherhood, and X-Men. So there's obviously a lot of characters here, so I pretty much just put their teams on for the most part. But our first tier of characters we want to look at is going to be your Unlimited X-Men, because of course they are your Famine Scourge with Rogue, your Horseman team. You're going to have them at gear 15 to 17 again. I know I'm sounding like a broken clock. That's not the right term. Whatever. Moving on. You're gonna have to have like gear 15, 17 for your Apocalypse unlock. So if you have them, you can gear them up and not worry about wasting resources. Maria Hill and Nick Fury are also up here in the same tier because, per my farming guys, we're pushing for Omega Red still, and both those characters are required for it. And Maria Hill is also part of your skill raid team. Nick Fury can be, but he's better swapped out for Kestrel and or Shang-Chi. Now, the next tier is going to be Astonishing X-Men because that is your mutant raid team, of course. So that's, Bishop, Iceman, Beast, Jubilee, and Kitty Pryde. So if you have any of them, you can build them up and not really worry about wasting too much efficiency. They're not going to contribute much to your Apocalypse unlock, but they will help you push into Doom raids. And Sabretooth, Wolverine are both parts of Weapon X. You can build them up because that's kind of our main war team we want to build up around Omega Red in the future. And down here, I have Uncanny X-Men, and that's, again, because Uncanny X-Men is a good team. They're not amazing, and I really wouldn't recommend building them as a new to mid-game player, but if you have them, again, they'll cover you down for Nexus Chapter 8, and also for, where did I have them before? For your Heroes Chapter 7 global nodes. And, of course, at the end of the Nexus Chapter 8, you will unlock Thanos, so you can farm him out eventually once you start deciding to work on Black Order. And yeah, that's gonna cover it for today, guys. That kind of covers all the prerequisites and then some before you actually unlock your Doom War Chapter 1. So now we've covered all of the Heroes Chapter 7, Villains Chapter 7, Nexus Chapter 8, and your Doom Chapter 1 campaigns. So, maybe next week in the future, we'll start looking at the Doom Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 requirements and start talking about characters to start working on for those. And if you guys have stuck around for this long, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Stay safe. And remember, set your 2-hour blitz timers.